Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing live. It's Monday, the 20th of November. I'm Tony Haggerty at the Haggerty10 on the Twitter or X handle, and he's back. It's a warm welcome back. Warren being the operative word to Mr. Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay on the Twitter or X handle, fresh from Tenerife. How was it, my good friend?
It was good, yeah, really, really good. I know it doesn't really look as if I'm too tanned, but I do have a wee bit of tan. Maybe it's the camera that isn't doing this any favours whatsoever. But yeah, it was good. It feels like it's been longer than a week since I've been on. I don't know about you. It feels like a long, long time ago since that post-match reaction after the Aberdeen game. The Aberdeen game feels like it was about 3-4 weeks ago. Never mind, just over 7 days. So yeah, I'm delighted to be back. It was a good holiday, but I'm back to the grind, back to doing the morning briefings as well. So yeah, I'm happy to be back.
Trust me, it feels a lot longer than a week, my good friend, when the analog man is in charge of all the digital stuff. Indeed, yes, you're all down here, but we got there in the end. The troops will tell you we got there running around with the head on fire. But hey, it's good to see you back, and
Thank you very much.
looking well as always, my good friend. So we shall big up our sponsors, MPH Group, for all your plumbing, heating, kitchen, and bathroom needs. We say thank you to them. And the morning briefing is brought to you by MPH Group, and they're Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trade specialist, covering all of mainland Scotland. And every service you opt for automatically enters you into MPH's incredible holiday giveaway, and you could win a 7-night stay at the luxurious 5-star Moon Palace Resort in Cancun, Mexico. And with winter rolling in, if you're thinking of giving your home heating system a boost, MPH has an enticing Navien Boiler Winter Promotion just for you. And if you opt for a Navien Boiler installation through MPH Boilers, not only are you choosing top-tier efficiency, but you're also getting a free Navien Internet Controller, and that little gadget can crank up your boiler's efficiency to an impressive 98%. And the cherry on top of that is that they're covering the first year service with no added cost. So if you're wondering why Navien, they're also gunning for the Product of the Year at the HMV News Awards, which are the Oscars of the heating world. And to top it all off, the Navien ON range comes with a 12-year parts and labours warranty, and to give you some serious peace of mind. So a big shout out to MPH, because they're nominated for the Small Company of the Year at the same awards, and they even offer flexible finance options. So if you're gearing up for a winter chill, consider making a smart move with MPH and Navien, and you'll find all the links to MPH's social media sites and telephone number in the description of this video. Ryan, Celtic never sleeps even when you're away, and all sorts of stuff has been happening. But one of the bright things that have been happening is Lewis Palma. Now he's fast becoming or taking over Rio Hatate status. In your mind, you like Lewis Palma, don't you? And we want to talk about him. And the title of the briefing today is just how high is Lewis Palma's Celtic ceiling. You think he's a player destined for the very top, don't you? Nice wee assist the other day for Honduras as well. I noticed that on the clips.
Yeah, it was an absolutely delicious chipped ball into the Honduras striker. Great finish as well by the Honduras striker. You know, the chip is good, but the strike is every bit as good. It's a lovely, lovely goal from Honduras and a massive 2-0 victory against Mexico. You know, Mexico are one of the better sides and in that part of the world. I was going to say South America, but I know that it's kind of near North America as well. I'm not sure exactly about the geography that goes with Mexico. I know they're just south of the USA, but yeah, they are a historically quite a good football team as well, with some household names. So for Honduras to get that scalp 2-0 was absolutely brilliant for them. Yeah, they seem like a nation that's very much on the up, and Palma's going to be very much key to that success. But I just think, you know, ever since I left to go away on Monday to now, I think the one player that I seem to have been talking about the most when I was away, when I was speaking to other people in Tenerife, was Lewis Palma. I think his performance against Aberdeen was the one that got everybody speaking. That was the performance that people were going to speak about over the international break. Yes, there was a great performance by Yang. Showed what he can do with a couple of late goals. But it was Palma's three assists and one goal that everybody seems to be talking about. I've heard a lot of talk in the last week or so that Jota wants to go out on loan from Al Ittihad. I don't think, I mean, as much as it's it's a great idea to bring Jota back. I wouldn't want to bring Jota back if it harmed Lewis Palma's status as Celtic's main man at the moment. I think Celtic have got to accommodate their current player, the player that they've got on a permanent deal. Because I genuinely think the sky's the limit for this player. He is a mixture of a number of players that we've had in the past that maybe, have had shortcomings in one or another way. I've said it before, I think he's a mixture of El Yunusi and Haksabanovic, all the good parts of them put together. You'd probably get a player like Lewis Palma. I'm ecstatic with his start so far at Celtic, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does after the international break, because I said it online, but I think he's gunning for Matt O'Reilly's Player of the Year spot with his numbers. He's only been here since September, end of August, start of September, but those numbers are absolutely incredible, especially for a winger.
Geography lesson, Ryan. Central America.
That's exactly the word I was looking for. I knew I was right with that.
Smell the Glove says that, and Paul Andrew Martin also says the same thing. Alrighty, Central America. Mm-hmm. Now, you're saying Jota, not with maybe Harmy status. Playing devil's advocate here, Ryan, wouldn't you like to see Jota and Palma together in the same Celtic team? I'll declare my hand right now and I'll say I would. Or I would, sorry, not I. I would. Jota and Palma together would be different gravy, says Max.
Absolutely.
I agree with that as well. And I think if there's a chance of that happening and he's willing to come back to Celtic, then I think Celtic should explore that. TG Lindy also saying, absolutely. I get it. Jota would have a lot of the ball and Palma wouldn't have as many chances. But listen, I think you would have potent weapons up front, and I can picture both Palma and Jota terrorising defences in Scotland. So yeah, I'm all for that if it's something that is in the offing and it could possibly happen, and all parties are willing to pursue. Patrick McLaughlin saying we should just forget about Jota. It's never going to happen. So there you go.
That's probably part of my thinking as well. I don't think it will happen, because I think that he's, despite him not playing any football essentially in the past 3-4 months, I still think his stock is higher than when he left Celtic, because he's got that £25 million price tag on him as well. That's what Al Ittihad paid. I think there'll be not bigger teams than Celtic, but maybe more affluent teams or teams in a better league than Celtic looking for players. Spurs are going through a bit of an injury crisis at the moment. That could be a player that they look to, especially on loan. They bring in one of Ange Postecoglou's trusted lieutenants that's currently playing his trade in Saudi Arabia. That wouldn't take a lot of acclimatisation for him to go back and play in an Ange team. So it could go down that road, but if he was available, then Celtic should ask the question without a doubt. But I don't think there's as desperate a need as what there maybe was 2 or 3 months ago. See, when that rumour first started, when he wasn't getting a game whatsoever for Al Ittihad, and then there was potential talk about him coming back, the wing position wasn't in the same places where it is now. All of a sudden, we've seen Palma come to the fore with his goals and assists and his overall play. We're now starting to see Yang come to the fore as well. In about a month's time, we'll see Abada come back into the team as well. We'll have Maeda coming back after Christmas too. Probably got on to talk about Tilio as well, but that's another potential option if he does make it into the if he makes it into the bench. Never mind the starting lineup.
What team are you talking about there?
That's to discuss, yeah. But it's I don't think there's as much I need. It would be a great choice to have with Jota coming back, because we all know how good Jota was, but I wouldn't want him back at the expense of Palma, because I think this is Palma's time now.
Yeah, I agree with your thinking on that, and your logic on that, let's put it that way. But you know me.
You've got the dreamer head on here, haven't you?
Well, without a doubt. I just think he's a wonderful footballer, and can't get enough wonderful footballers in your team. And also, my thoughts, you shoehorn them in and you make
it's the what if as well, isn't it? Jota under Brendan Rodgers, because he improves every player. How much could he have improved Jota?
Yeah, and I understand there's financial constraints to it, or financial questions to answer, but the player knows the wages ceiling at Celtic, i.e. Jota, that is. But if he's willing, if he wants to come back and play for Celtic because he thinks he's made a mistake, as what's been reported, and that's the move that he would like, or he's instructed his agents to maybe try and get, then I think Celtic should at least explore the possibility. If it can't be accommodated, so be it. But I think if there's a chance to ask that question, then you go and ask that question. And I think Brendan Rodgers would get the best out of him for however long he came back for. And I'm just excited at the prospect of maybe seeing the two of them in the same team together. Palma and Jota, Kyogo, per many players from that, as you
that's
say.
Some
as well about that.
Yeah. The three of them, yeah.
Well, things like that, Ryan, could guarantee you winning a title. That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's a January move that could be resurrected and could come about, then I think Celtic would need to explore that possibility. So it's a no-brainer for me in that terms. Granted, I think Palma's hitting a rich vein of form. Loved what he did against Aberdeen, loved that assist. And we spoke before about Palma, and what we said was hopefully Celtic have unearthed a player that can provide Jota-esque goals and assists. Not only is he starting to do that, but he's starting to, as you say, show his talent. So you're like, that's 3+ points, goals, assists, and actually turn out to be a talented footballer. So you've kind of want to watch with Palma, and he's only going to get better moving along. So you look at that and you think that's a part of your team that's going to function very, very well.
Yeah, completely agree with everything that you've said there. He is only going to get better as well, but he's also at a good age because, I'm going to probably mention that P word, the project word again, but he's a wee bit older than what Celtic would class as a project player. He's 23, 24 years old. I think he might be 25 in January or something like that. Either that or he's 24 in January. I looked that up last week and I can't remember exactly. I've been on holiday. Please don't. But yeah, he's so young as well, and he's still got so much development to do. And you see that difference. Maybe see the difference in Palma than you do with Yang. Yang looks very much like a development player, but the potential is there. But Palma's now doing it in more games, which shows you that he's of that age, that he's ready to take the game by the scruff of the neck, get goals, get assists, terrorise opposition fullbacks, which is what he certainly did to Nicky Devlin a couple of weekends ago against Aberdeen. That was a mismatch. And the good thing about him as well, much like what Jota did, he recognised it was a mismatch early on and continued to just probe, kept on going at him. And I did have a wee look into the defensive stats. I didn't do a stats bomb report last week, but I looked into it. Nicky Devlin was Aberdeen's busiest defender. And it's easy to see why, because he was up against Palma. But that's the thing. He was the busiest defender, probably the most effective defender, and he still conceded 3 assists to him. And it wasn't him that gave away the penalty, obviously, but there's 4 goal involvements with Palma's performance that day. So to show that he had a good defensive performance, but still 4 goals went past him down to, or partly down to, Palma, says something about the performance that he had on the day. I think, he's going to be one of these players that I think is only going to get better. I think he's going to take the international form that he's shown just now, take it back to Celtic and be Celtic's main man, alongside Matt O'Reilly and Kyogo as well. He's stepped up to the plate. I'm absolutely delighted that he's done so. He was doing that for Aris in the Greek league, but he's shown that he can make that level. Maybe not a level up, because the leagues are round about the same. I would say the Greek and the Scottish league, but he's doing it in Europe now as well. So it shows that he can do that step up. He's only going to get better, and thankfully it's at Celtic, to be honest.
Yeah, you mentioned Matt O'Reilly. On the website today, I've written a piece about Matt O'Reilly by the coaches that shaped him. It's one of those kind of deep dive pieces. I'll put it in the comments section there, and lots of wonderful stuff said by a few of his coaches. Peter Grant's one of them. Dan McKeachie's one of them. He's England under-16 coach. Russell Martin, he's coach at MK Dons. Zach Jules, his teammate at MK Dons. And Jesper Sorensen, he's coach at Danish Under-21s. It's a fascinating read, actually, guys. You want to have a look at that. It's excellent stuff, and they tell you about Matt O'Reilly, not only as a player, but as a person as well, and how the rise of Matt O'Reilly has come about. It's worth your time, even if I say so myself. Have a look at that, guys, because it's fascinating. I like doing these things, Ryan, and seeing how a player has gone from playing League One football to Champions League in the space of a year, and some of the characters around him and protagonists that were involved in helping shape that direction in Matt O'Reilly's career. So have a read at that, troops. It's well worth it. But yeah, going back to Palma, I think he's just a player that you're trying to keep a tin lid on it, aren't you? But you're getting excited by what he could produce over the course of the season. And that you say those 4 goal involvements against Aberdeen, I think that was just a taster of what's to come.
Yeah, I think it will only get better for the player. It's difficult to not be excited for a player like Luis Palma, because with every winger, I think there's always excitement with wingers and strikers as well to come in and really hit the ground running. It took a couple of games for him to do so. You know, there was a lot of criticism online after that Feyenoord game away from home, when I thought he was one of Celtic's brighter sparks in the game. I think he got 8 dribbles in that game, and he was really trying to make things happen. It was a really, really difficult situation, especially the fact that Celtic went down to 10 and then 9 men, so he didn't really have that intended effect that he would have wanted in his European debut for the club. But we've seen it against Atletico Madrid. He's got it in his locker. We've seen it against Lazio as well at home. He was so unfortunate to get that disallowed goal. It's as if he's not let that affect him, though, that chance, that disallowed goal, thanks to Dyson Maeda's boot. He's been in about it in those Champions League games, honestly. You could either talk about his endeavour, his misfortunes, his red cards as well. That's just Dyson Maeda for you. But back to Luis Palma, he showed his quality and his class with that goal against Atletico Madrid. Just the first touch and then the shot. And again, he's not looked back from that as well. It seems as if he's involved in everything good with regard to Celtic, not just the goals, the assists. That assist to Matt O'Reilly at Tynecastle is a thing of beauty. Shows that he can do that, because it wasn't a one-off. He did it at Tynecastle, and then he did it for Honduras as well. He's got that in his locker, which is absolutely brilliant to see. And you wouldn't bet against him doing that again before the season's up, or maybe a couple of times if you can do that sort of pass again to another player, perhaps to Kyogo or somebody else. But yeah, he's a player that I'm really, really excited about. He's like a midfielder playing out wide with his numbers for his goals and assists. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing him grow more and more, because it seems as if Brendan Rodgers has got his claws right into him. He's going to get the best player out of him, because he's worked well with wingers and attacking midfielders in the past. I think Palma could be both. I think he could play as a number 10 as well as a winger. That could be something interesting that Rodgers looks into in maybe the medium to long-term future. But yeah, I think he's going to be a really, really important player for Celtic going forward, not just this season, but in the coming seasons as well.
It's also, he likes that dink pass over the top of the defenders. Mm-hmm. That's a couple of times I've seen it. And then obviously his pass for the outside of the boot number for was sensational, when people were comparing it to Moravcik, because it was a similar type goal, because Moravcik put this similar type pass to Larson in a Dundee game, I think 25 years apart, they were saying, so a bit uncanny, that kind of thing, so. But yeah, I think Palma is one that, as I said earlier, he's just exciting everybody, isn't he, bottom line? And I think we are counting the days until the international break ends and Celtic are back at Celtic Park to play Motherwell. It's just, I don't know why, but this particular international break has seemed longer than normal. Maybe it's because you went away on holiday, sir.
That's probably why. To be fair, I was away on holiday and it has felt like a long international break as well. By the time that Celtic come back on Saturday afternoon, it won't be before time. It'll be good to see them back, because it's felt like absolutely ages. I think the Sunday to Saturday as well, that amount of time will be quite big between the two games. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to Celtic Park and back, hopefully, to Celtic taking advantage of a team that are not in very good form whatsoever. You know, it's a very different Motherwell team, or a very different Motherwell mentality to the one that Celtic faced at Fir Park all those weeks ago. They were a team very much on form that were unlucky against Rangers. They probably should have got something at Ibrox. I watched that game, but now I think they're winless in 9 or 10 games now.
Yeah,
the pressure is very much on a manager that was doing so well at the start of the season, Stuart Kettlewell. It's up to players like Palma and Kyogo, Yang as well, if he gets the nod, Matt O'Reilly too, to see this as a real opportunity to put a few goals past a team that are evidently struggling to get anything in the league at the moment. You know, it's up to them to take advantage of that, of a wounded animal, you would say, in Motherwell.
You almost said pile on the agony, put on a style there, Ryan, didn't you? You know, here's another reason to like Palma. Penalty taker, Ryan. He dispatched that one with ease, didn't he? We've been speaking.
Yeah, I said that in instant analysis as well. I was delighted to see him score a penalty. Down to the fact that, you know, we've seen penalties go in, but they've been quite shoddy penalties. You would say they maybe go under a goalkeeper, or they'd hit off the goalkeeper and go in. But that one was just class. The only thing I didn't like, and I'm sure you agree with me, is the run up. It's too nervy. You bring in you're bringing an element of chance and risk into that sort of run up. Thankfully, he was very, very confident in doing so, and the goalkeeper had absolutely no chance of getting anywhere near it. But yeah, if it was me, I'm very traditionalist in that sense. I'd like to put the laces through it, much like one of the managers in the opposition's dugout, and Barry Robson. I always liked the Barry Robson penalty kick, straight down the middle, bosh.
I've no qualms about guys that score penalties, but run-ups like that do give you the fear and the EBGBs. It's also like it's almost akin to showboating before you put it in the back of the net, and it looks good when it goes in. When it doesn't go in, you know, it look a bit silly. But yeah, I think he knew what he was doing. So pretty much coolness personified, didn't he? And he knows so. But he rammed it away pretty convincingly. So I'm no qualms in argument with that. He can do what he likes. I'm like you. I'm just not a lover of those kind of run ups. That and the one step run up was always my bugbear. I never understood how players thought that taking one step would, you know, give them sufficient time to put the ball in the net. But some could do it, some couldn't. So yeah. But as long as they score, Ryan, I'm not perturbed. Well, I am perturbed about runs, but as long as he scored, then fine. As long as that's a final outcome, so be it. But indeed, yep, I say we're just enjoying Palma at this minute in time. He's hit a rich vein of form, and long may that continue. Now, Ryan, you mentioned another player, and we're going to talk about him, Marco Tilio, who...
The curious case of Marco Tilio.
The curious case of, yeah. Now, Marco Tilio has not kicked a ball for Celtic. Well, he played a testimonial game down at Ayr,
United,
yeah. And now reports are that he is open to going out on loan in January. There's a report in one of the newspapers today saying that he's considering a transfer option for January. So we'll see how that goes. Would that be a good thing, Ryan, to get him some game time if he's not going to get it at Celtic at the minute? Or are you just worried the fact that he hasn't kicked a ball for Celtic and the first thing that they might be looking to do is offload him in January, certainly for a loan spell, to see if he can get up to some kind of speed?
I'm okay if he's going out on loan, as long as it's to a Scottish team to get him ready domestically for the physical rigours of the Scottish Premiership, because that seemed to be the problem that Brendan Rodgers was alluding to. He was struggling to make the adaptation from the adaptation from Australian football, which is a slower pace and is a lower level as well. You know, there's some players that maybe weren't doing so well over in Scotland that have become superstars over in Australia. You know, I think there is a difference in the two leagues respectively. No disrespect to the Australian league, but as a step up for a player like Marco Tilio, who was one of the better players in Australia for Melbourne City, one of the best teams in Australia. If he's going to go out on loan, then I want it to be to your sort of your Aberdeens, your Hearts, your Hibs, maybe to get him better acclimatised to the Scottish game, because there's got to be a view for him coming back and playing first team football for Celtic. Otherwise, what was the point in signing him? And I could say the same for Kwon as well. If a loan deal was to come into fruition for Kwon to play in the Scottish League, whatever level that is, even if he had to drop down to the Championship, if Duncan Ferguson was looking for players, then I wouldn't be against him making that move either. But I think it's got to benefit Celtic as well as it's got to benefit the teams that are receiving these players on loan. There's no point in Celtic wasting their time and sending a player out on loan if they're not going to make it back in the Celtic team on their return. If that's the case, then why not just sell them permanently? Because I think Celtic have got to have these projects in and around the team. I get that with development players. The project players have got to step up, and if they can't step up just now for Celtic, then they need to go out and play games and step up elsewhere, much like Ryan Christie did when he went to Aberdeen. Became twice the player. Thank you very much, Aberdeen. You've just developed a really, really good player for us. And then he had a decent career out with his last season at the club. There's other examples as well. Ayer went to Kilmarnock, became a man basically at Kilmarnock. Liam Scales as well, although that one was more surprising. I don't think anybody realised just how effective that was going to be. A lot of that's down to luck as well, but he's a Republic of Ireland international now, probably going to get a new deal in the next couple of weeks too, which is absolutely brilliant news for him, or at least that's what Brendan Rodgers wants to happen. He wants to get him signed up to a new deal, so that'll be an interesting sort of conundrum to have with the defence, even more so if he's signed up. What are you going to do with all these players that you've signed in the summer? Where are they all going to go? Who's going to stay or who's going to go? It's like a Clash song. Should I stay or should I go? It's an interesting one. But back to Tilio, I think he's got to be developed somewhere else in Scotland. Either that or you just cut his losses and say he's not good enough for the team. I don't see the point in loaning him back to Australia. He's shown he can play in Australia. I want to see that he can play in Scotland as well. The only way you can do that is by giving him that acid test and putting him out there on loan to either a Premiership team or a Championship team. Probably a lower end Premiership team that maybe needs a winger on their books would be a good move for him. Someone that's going to guarantee him game time. But he's got to get used to the rough and tumble of the Scottish League. Otherwise, if he doesn't get used to it, then he's never going to make it at Celtic. If you can't make it down, if you can't be one of the best players in an opposition team, then Celtic wouldn't go and sign you if you were a Scottish player. You've got to be out there and really stand out. In your other games. I know they couldn't obviously play against Celtic, but I just want to see a player go out on loan, show what he can do, and then come back in and make the grade at Celtic. But we've got absolutely nothing to base on because we've seen absolutely nothing of him so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair shout to saying.
I think Hibs would be a good move for him, by the way. I know they've got a couple of really good wingers in Johan and Martin Boyle, but especially with the way that Patrick McGowan coming in and saying the Hibs gaffer's trying to play with the ball on the carpet. I do agree with that. He's trying to play some decent football. That could be a good fit for him. Also, he was the Central Coast Mariners manager last season. He came up against Marco Tilio. Probably would have wanted to play or have someone in his team like Marco Tilio. So, that could be an avenue that they go down.
Yeah, he'll know him from his time there, obviously, but I'm not averse to sending them to a Hibs or an Aberdeen. It's worked before, especially with Aberdeen, so there seems to be some kind of relationship there about sending players on loan. But I would prefer it to go to a Premiership club as opposed to Championship, so that he gets to know every ground that he's going to be playing at. And as you say, if he can't star in another Premiership club, then you have to say that your chances of coming back and making it at Celtic are remoter then, aren't they?
Yeah, to be fair, I think the writing would be on the wall, to be honest, if you send either of them to a Championship team. Celtic have paid, just under 2 million for Kwon and Tilio. If you're sending them to the Championship, just in terms of optics and looking at that from the outside in, it's a horrible, horrible look if you're sending £2 million worth of players to the Championship, not even to the level that Celtic are applying their trade at and dominating, to send them to a level that's lower. I think I've done a 180 on that thought. I do want them to go to the Premiership now, because you want to see these players come back and make the grade at Celtic, and if they go to the Championship, then admittedly they're not good enough to make the grade, and they probably never will be, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Brown Warrior comes in and says the point of buying them is to hopefully make money Meanwhile, Celtic have their own quality youngsters heading elsewhere, disillusioned with the prospect of making it at Celtic. That's a fair point as well. I think well made by Brown Warrior. Lots of Celtic youngsters.
I think it's a 50-50 with. I think it's a 50-50 with young players. You know, in the case of players like, is it Hepburn and Morrison and Ben Doak as well. You know, they're dangling. I mean, these big teams are dangling the prospect of a contract, a professional contract at some of the biggest clubs in the Bayern Munich and Liverpool, respectively. I don't think Celtic can do much about that. There's other players that maybe just fall through the cracks, fall through the holes, and they don't make it. And then Celtic are kind of left with the best of the rest in the class, as it shows. The best of the rest aren't currently good enough to make it into the starting lineup. That's partly down to the fact that Celtic have a good team. You know, sometimes you'll see youngsters when there's a bit of a crisis going on with an injury or the team's not playing well. You think about the COVID season where Celtic's seen the likes of Cameron Harper, Armstrong Okaflex, Karamoko Dembele. When the team's playing well, you don't really see that many youngsters make the grade in the team, unfortunately. And that's just the problem that Celtic have. Celtic can't guarantee these players because, you know, the league is the bread and butter every single season, and they can't jeopardise that whatsoever.
You look at the last league game, Celtic 6, Aberdeen 0. Which youngster gate crashes that team? None of them. Let's be honest, none of them. No. Best you're going to get's on the bench, isn't it? And then who do you displace on who do you displace on the bench? So
the thing is now there's Celtic players that have been bought for 4 million that can't make the bench. The level has changed. You know, you have to be an absolutely outstanding youngster to make the grade at Celtic. Now you have to be like a standout player. You know, Carl McGregor had to. Even he wasn't a standout player. He had to go out and be player of the season at Notts County in League Two before coming back to Celtic. Didn't make his full debut until he was 21 years old. Forrest was different. He burst onto the scene. Aidan McGeady, he burst onto the scene. There's other examples as well. Tony Ralston he burst on the scene at age 17, but then he had about 3 or 4 loan deals before coming back to Celtic. You need to be an outstanding player to make the grade as a youngster at Celtic because you're up against professionals that are 23, 24, sometimes even older than that. I think Vata's finding that out, to be honest. A lot of people were clamouring for Vata. See for myself, just from the outside looking in, he's probably just not good enough to make the team. Brendan Rodgers has seen him and maybe doesn't rate him as highly as Ange Postecoglou did. You know, there's players that are like that will just fall by the wayside due to a change in manager. But you know, he's not made any. I can't remember him making any benches. So I think that says a lot more.
And everybody harps on about Ben Doak as well, but Ben Doak broke into the team, but then decided he wanted to go to Liverpool, and so as you say, I think Celtic were in that kind of no-win situation, weren't they? They just couldn't compete with that, and the riches that clubs like that can offer, as you say, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, when they come in, and if the player wants to go there, then so be it. But Ben Doak could have stayed and would have made more first-team appearances. That's a fact, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll never know. So. But I think people can use that as an example, don't they? And I think Brown Warriors, like sometimes players maybe do. Maybe Ben Doak did get disillusioned as well with the lack of game time because he probably felt he was good enough to play in that team. And now you look at him and you think he was an exceptional talent, but Celtic were still playing very well at that point in time. So who was he going to displace in that team?
Celtic couldn't have given him a bigger opportunity to showcase that he was ready for the first team, because it's not just the fact that he came off the bench as a 16-year-old, it's the games in which he came off the bench as a 16-year-old. You know, Celtic were chasing a goal against Dundee United. That was the game that Abada scored that amazing assist from Jota. You know, Ben Doak was brought onto the pitch because Ange Postecoglou trusted him to make a difference when he came onto the park. He also came on against Rangers, picked up an early yellow card, absolutely stuck in. There's not much of a showcase. There's nothing more that Celtic could have done because, you know, he turned 16, he just made his way into the first team. But, you know, you had Abada, you had Jota in and around the team. They were wanting to make a difference. It's Liverpool. you know, can we grudge a 16-year-old getting offered a professional contract at Liverpool? I seen somebody in the comments saying he was there for the money. Probably, you know, he's going to get better money at Liverpool. But Liverpool play in the Premier League, and they're one of the teams that can light a candle to Celtic when it comes to club size, unfortunately. So, you know, the chance to play under Jurgen Klopp, a manager that's known for developing youngsters throughout his career. You know, I can't blame Ben Doak. And look, his decision is justified. He's getting game time for Liverpool, one of the best teams in the whole country. So, you know, his decision's probably vindicated. He's going to be a good player for Liverpool and for Scotland in the future. So, you know, you wish him all the best. You're proud that he came through the Celtic Academy, but you're just wishing he stayed. But I can't grudge him for leaving Celtic for Liverpool, because as a step up in terms of league, you know, it's probably the same size in terms of club, maybe even bigger, Liverpool, but you know, it's a step up in terms of quality in league.
Speaking of quality, we seem to get fed up talking about him because he always comes up whenever it's international duty. But Callum McGregor got man of the match last night. Scotland drew 3-3 with Norway. Lots of comments about Callum McGregor saying he played very, very well. They'll smell the glove coming in. Calmac played well last night. Scooby Man 76, who's going to carry the mantle when Callum McGregor leaves? But he just is. He's the role model of consistency, and he just plays all the time, doesn't he? And no thought of Steve Clarke giving this guy a rest, and you know it didn't matter at the end of the day. Yeah, it didn't matter at the end of the day. Scotland had already qualified, but he still put in Callum McGregor to that team, unbelievably so. And again, those players like Callum McGregor will want to play as many games as they possibly can. You can hear the dogs going mental. Somebody's obviously at the door. The wife is in, so hopefully she'll deal with that. But there you go. But Callum McGregor, and he's going to come back. He'll be straight into the team at Fir Park, and you know,
Celtic Park.
Celtic Park. Yeah, and I don't think you can praise this guy highly enough. Give him plaudits. Yep, he's had a wee dip in form this season.
Up and down,
right? Up and down, right? But he's up and down by the highest standards that he sets himself, right? He set himself the highest bar possible, and it's only when he falls below that people say, oh, he wasn't very good, which means, so he wasn't an 8 or a 9, maybe a 7, you know what I mean? And it's like, people get on his back, so you have to say, in terms of consistency, Callum McGregor's out there on his own, to be perfectly honest, and you don't grudge him a couple of games where he's maybe had bad days at the office. You know what I mean? These things happen. He's human, after all. But when Calmac functions, Celtic function. End of.
Absolutely. I think when he has a good game, the result is already pretty much guaranteed, because he's got this way of being in the midfield and just controlling the tempo of the game, and he allows those players, those maybe more attack-minded players like O'Reilly, like Hatate when he's fit, Odenholm as well, allows them to go further forward and just do their own thing. What I would like to see though, and I did like the fact that I've seen this in the past couple of games for Celtic, is that Cal McGregor comes off for a Wata for like the final quarter of an hour, maybe 20 minutes. That's definitely something that can be used effectively. You know, you've got to manage Cal McGregor's game time. You're wanting him to be available for all these big games, and there's no point in playing him in games that are already won or the results already been dictated. You know the way it's going to go. If the result is out of the question in terms of Dubai, then I just think you don't need Cal McGregor in that situation. Give it to Wata, who's absolutely hungry for minutes at the moment. Manage his game time, and then you'll get the best version of him when it's needed, when the chips are down and you need to grind out a result. And Cal McGregor will be able to put on the afterburners and go up a level for Celtic. But when the result is already secured, then I don't see the point in keeping him on the pitch. Don't see the point in having a holding midfielder on the pitch when the result is already finalised. You know, throw another midfielder on there, try and go for more goals. You know, there's plenty of talent on that bench to do so. Yeah, I'm delighted that I didn't catch the game myself last night with regard to Cal McGregor, but everybody seemed to be raving about him, ranting and raving about how good he was. So yeah, I'll take everybody's word for it. I know a good Callum McGregor performance when I see one, and the way people were talking about it, it sounds as if he completely ran the show against Norway.
TJ Lindy. I think last night people realised the incredible talent of Callum Mack again and what he actually does. Helen Freaks, morning, Helen, how you doing? Callum was pretty brilliant last night. Seamus Gallagher saying he's played more great games than pure games. The wee man's a Celtic legend in my eyes.
I think that isn't even in question at the moment.
Yeah.
I think everybody thinks that he's a legend now. Just look at his trophy haul since he came into the team. Celtic's dominance has coincided with the fact that Cal McGregor's plied his trade at the club. Look at the amount of trophies that McGregor has won since he made that step up. It was first under Ronnie Dyler, but it was really Brendan Rodgers who properly made him as a bona fide Celtic player. But look at the trophy haul he's had since he came into the team in 2014. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Just a few more comments coming in about Cal Mack. I'm going to read them out. Just let me put them up here. Hazel Finn saying, yep, she thinks Cal Mack Wata should be used more. That's in terms of your substitution for Callum McGregor. Maestro 95 saying Cal played the anchor role last night. He gets about the part and builds it up well. He always finds space. Scoobyman 76 saying Cal's been off it this season, but he dropped your captain. Jalpal saying Iwata has never let Celtic down. Yeah, I mean, we're all agreeing here. So, and Brown Warrior coming in and saying you deploy Cal Mack, you'll get the best out of him. Sorry, but Brendan's decision to alter his roles had a negative effect on his game at Celtic. Under Clark, the shackles are off. He's saying, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I agree that he's had a couple of up and down games this season, yeah. So, and
I thought it was quite noticeable at the start of the season, unfortunately, but he's managed to level it out a bit, which is great.
Steve McGrory's coming in just saying the Honduras manager says Palma's picked up a knock versus Mexico, so hoping he's okay. Cheers for that.
That's why we can't have nice things. It always seems to be the foreign players.
It's not what you want to hear, is it? But we'll keep our eye on that one, and we'll be all over that on the website if that turns out to be the case. But we'll keep our eyes peeled for that. But Ryan, Saturday can't come quick enough, can it? Really?
No, I'm really looking forward to it. It's 5 days away now, so the countdown is dead. Yeah, that's like Christmas all over again. Yeah, it's a really exciting time. It's going to be that's the last international break until March, I presume.
Yes,
Scotland have got a couple of friendlies, so I love this time of year. This is my favourite time of year for football, when it's just games week after week after week. This is where you see how strong the squad depth is in the team, because you're going to need to make changes to the team if you're playing every sort of 3-4 days. I want to see guys like Yang really take the opportunities that they get. Abada will be coming back at a great time as well for him to ply his trade. With Maeda being out, he might need to get fast tracked into the starting lineup sooner rather than later, especially if Yang can't keep up his good form. I'm hoping that he can, but if you have those natural levels that dip, the thing is you've got to watch Yang as well, and I think this is something that isn't really talked about. Yang has played essentially half a season in Korea before joining Celtic, so I think his game time has to be effectively managed, especially if he was to get called up for the South Korea Asia Cup squad. I'm sure the sports scientists will have it under wraps for sure, and they'll have it checked. But it's just something to watch out for. There's a lot of games that he has to play in a short period of time for different teams. Gangwon, then Celtic, then potentially South Korea as well. I think a wee break could do him the world of good when possible. But he started to show that he can definitely be a major player at Celtic, and yeah, fingers crossed he can bring more of that to the table. More of that performance against Aberdeen, against Motherwell, please, because he looked really, really impressive in that showing against Barry Robson's side.
When I look at the 5 players in particular, Palma, Yang, O'Reilly, Kyogo, all these guys coming into, and lots of them already had for him, but they're starting to motor now. And as you say, this is when it's important you need to kick on again, especially coming up to the festive period. There is a whole glut of games, and Celtic are at home in the majority of them, which is a good thing. So you've got to say that you'll be targeting 3 points in every one of those home games, and I include Rangers game in that. So you could set yourself up nicely for the after the new year and the title running, as they say. I know you just take it, that old cliche, you take it one game at a time. I get all that, but I'm targeting maximum points from certainly all those home games, Ryan, that are in amongst that glut of games. Also targeting maximum points from the away games, but there are a lot of games and there'll be a lot of players used and there will be rotations of the squad. I get all that, so you see what happens. And Easter Road shows you that on any given day when you're not at it, you can drop points. So there's the St Johnstone game, obviously the two games Celtic have dropped points in, not scored goals in both of those games, so you take nothing for granted. But the way they're starting to motor and hit their stride, I'm quite confident that they can certainly the home games and amongst this period, they can maximise their points tally.
Yeah, it's just all about keeping that positive momentum going. I think everybody went into the international break there with a renewed sense of optimism. It was a really disappointing result against Atletico Madrid away from home. 6-0. Then to come back and follow that up with a 6-0 of their own against Aberdeen was a perfect sort of antidote to that, to the poison that happened on that Tuesday evening. It was the antidote to that. It was a great performance, some great individual performances too. Encouraging to see that the team is free firing or scoring at will, you would say, and that can only breed success. Celtic have got weapons all over the pitch, both defence, midfield, and attack. There's goals all around the team. You're hoping that they can inflict that onto a struggling Motherwell side as well. At the weekend, it's not going to be an easy game. No games are easy for Celtic domestically or in Europe, but Celtic have got to take advantage of a team that have been shipping goals recently, and if they can do that, then the likes of Palma, if he's fit, I don't even like saying if he's fit. There's always that worry. You're just hoping, as much as sometimes you don't like to see players play too many games for their international sides, I'm hoping that Palma's in that lineup for Honduras because then that he'll be okay for the weekend, potentially, if he doesn't pick up a knock in that game. Knowing Celtic's luck, that'd be the case. But
hopefully not.
There just seems to be a positivity again at Celtic. It has been kind of a roller coaster up and down with regard to results in Europe, maybe bringing lows and then the high of a result, and then the high of a result against Atletico Madrid at home, and then you drop points away from home against Hibs. So it's been that sort of stuff. It'd be nice to have that bit of consistency, good consistency, but consistency all the same.
Indeed. Now we'll have all week to preview the Motherwell game, but just thought we would ease Ryan back in today, talk about a few subjects. But it's good to have you back, sir. And as we say all the time, if you like what we do, subscribe to the YouTube channel. The videos are obviously free, but we can't do it without you. In order to keep producing these videos, we urge you and implore you to subscribe to the Celtic Way website. It costs you £4 for 4 months of access to everything we do on the web, and £18 for a year. Why not take out a yearly subscription and you help us support top quality football journalism, covering the club you love in the process by hitting that button, guys, the subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And as you can see at the top, we say thank you to our sponsors, MPH Group, for all your plumbing, heating, kitchen and bathroom needs. Check them out, as well as the Navien Boiler Promotion. All the links to their social media sites, their telephone number are in the description of this video. But yeah, hit the button, guys. We'd love you to do that. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Ryan, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you for the warm welcome back. Thank you to everybody in the comments for getting involved as well. Really do appreciate everybody's lovely comments. Happy to be back in the grind of things. And yeah, all eyes are on Saturday now. I think, especially with the fact that there's no more international games. It's fully focused up for this game on Saturday against Motherwell at Celtic Park. Roll on 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon for sure.
Yeah. I kept it going, Ryan. It didn't fall apart in your absence. There you go.
I know you wouldn't. Steady.
Steady hand on the tiller, as they say. Indeed. Guys, thank you so much for all your comments. If we didn't read your comment out today, we'll try and read them out moving forward during the week. But we love the community that we're built on here on the Celtic Way morning briefing, pre-match and post-match briefings. We appreciate your input. We would like to put that input out there, as we say. And I guess like yourself and myself and Ryan, we just can't wait for Saturday. The international breaks take its toll, don't they, in terms of everything. But yeah, we're getting back to club football, which is what we all love. So thank you, Hazel. Appreciate that. Good chat, guys. Row on Saturday. Smell the glove. Hail, hail, and stay gold. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. But yeah, we shall do it all again tomorrow. 10ish round about then, Ryan, isn't it? Something that. What,
yeah, I'm off tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. So
are you off tomorrow? Off
it's a hi and bye, but I'll be back on Wednesday for sure.
Okay, cool, nice one. Well, we shall say hi and bye to Ryan. Well, that reminds me, I'll need to get somebody for tomorrow then. Nice one. Thank you for doing that. But there you have it, guys. Take care. Have a wonderful Monday. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same back channel. All the best.
Cheers, guys.